Here's the truth that no one tells you about emotional manipulation. Emotional manipulation isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it's subtle, it's quiet, or even disguised as care or concern. Most people completely misunderstand what it actually is, and that's why manipulation works so well. Maybe you've walked out of a conversation feeling drained, confused, or maybe you found yourself apologizing when you didn't need to. If that sounds familiar, stick with me. We're going to break this down so you can start to uncover manipulation before it pulls you under. In this video, we're going to cover the 5 biggest misunderstandings about emotional manipulation. I'll explain exactly why these misunderstandings make it so much easier for manipulators to get what they want. And more importantly, I'll show you exactly what to say so you can protect your peace and walk away from the conversation feeling calm and confident. So let's get straight into it. Misunderstanding 1. Manipulators always know exactly what they're doing. Most people think that manipulators are really calculating, like they calculate every move or they have a blueprint for controlling you. But honestly, that's not true. Sometimes it's a habit. It can be as simple as a habit. Sometimes it's insecurity, and sometimes it's just the way that they learned to interact in life. I remember dating a guy who would constantly bring up his ex. Sometimes in a casual way, sometimes in a more passive-aggressive way. And each time I'd start doubting myself. Am I being too sensitive? But here's the thing, a lot of what he was doing wasn't conscious. He wasn't plotting every word, but it still affected me. It still made me question myself. And that's when I realized that the intention isn't the point, it's the effect that it has. And that changed everything. I stopped overthinking his motives and I started to focus on what it is that I could control, and that was my reaction. That's the first lesson. You don't need them to be evil in order to protect yourself. If you find yourself replaying conversations for hours or getting stressed out about interactions, my free emotional reset guide can help. It gives simple steps to calm your body and settle your thoughts and regain your confidence fast. And there are even a few scripts in there for particular stressful situations that can help. It will give you the words to say when your body might either freeze or go into flight mode. It gives you the exact words to say. So without overthinking, even though you do feel stressed, you will have an advantage of knowing exactly what to say in these situations. So you can walk away knowing that you stood your ground, you feel confident, you were calm, and so you're not left replaying these interactions over and over after they have already passed. Misunderstanding 2. This is another big one. Thinking that if you just explain yourself better, that they'll understand. You know the drill. Giving explanations, giving reasons, justifying your actions. We think that logic will fix it, but spoiler alert, it rarely does. Over-explaining doesn't give clarity. It creates openings in the conversation for your boundaries to be debated. So it creates room for them to question you some more and try to poke holes in what you're saying in order to get what they want. Over-explaining gives the manipulator room to challenge you, twist your words, or to debate you. So instead, try keeping it simple, calm, clear, and short. For example, say, "I can't help this time. I hope it goes well." You're done. No justification needed. Even if you feel guilty, remember, your boundary is yours. You don't owe an explanation. And protecting your energy is way more valuable than being understood in the moment. Misunderstanding 3 is thinking that manipulation is always loud or aggressive. People also assume that manipulation has to be loud, aggressive, dramatic, yelling, threats, showdowns. But the sneaky stuff is often silent, subtle. It looks like passive aggression, guilt trips, small digs. Those things that can make you anxious, second guess yourself, or overthink for hours. For example, I have a family member who, when they don't get their way or you don't perform, you don't do something the way that they think it should be done, their immediate reaction is to sigh or make some kind of passive aggressive comment, or you'll just notice that their facial expression suddenly changes. You can see that they're visibly upset, but if you go to them and you ask them, like, you can sense that it's because of something you did, and you go to them and you say, hey, did I do something? They'll say, no, I'm just talking to myself. Or they'll answer you and say that they're fine, but their tone gives everything away, and you can kind of feel that it's because of you. This can make your body feel so anxious. Like, growing up in this environment could make your body feel so tense and so on edge, because you're always anticipating when you're gonna do something that's gonna set them off next, right? Where that's gonna change their mood next. And once their mood changes, it's like the entire room, the entire environment completely shifts. So I would find myself replaying interactions. If I noticed that they weren't happy, I would think to myself, did I do something? Did I forget to put something away? Did I do something the wrong way? I found myself analyzing my own behavior, always anticipating the next time that they'd be upset. Even though it might not necessarily be confrontational, but there's always this heaviness and this tension in the air. But then I realized, after years, after decades of this treatment, I realized that this is manipulation, plain and simple. Recognizing this pattern let me respond calmly instead of getting sucked into the spiral. So now, instead of going to them when I notice that they're upset or their mood is off, instead of going to them and say, was it me? Did I do something? I don't do that anymore. I just go on with my life. I don't go to them, because I think by going to them, I'm feeding into that behavior. I'm reinforcing the behavior. I'm saying, okay, to get my attention, all you have to do is be visibly upset, like be in a bad mood, sigh, start talking to yourself under your breath, making little passive aggressive comments. Yeah, so I realized that by going to them, I'm reinforcing that behavior. I'm saying, okay, all you have to do is do that, and then here I am. So my response now is, I just don't respond. I pretend like I don't even see them when they get into that mood. I'm in my own world. Don't get sucked into the spiral. Watch for patterns over time, not just the big dramatic moments. Small repeated nudges are way more telling than those big showy outbursts. Misunderstanding 4 is thinking that if I feel guilty, then I must be wrong. Wow, this is the one that trips everyone up. Feeling guilty doesn't automatically mean that your boundary is wrong. Guilt is your empathy responding, and this is something that manipulators love. They love to exploit this. I remember a family member implying that I was selfish because I said no to something. I felt terrible at first, like I had done something wrong. But then I recognized that the guilt that I was feeling wasn't the truth. It was a tactic. And once I framed it that way, I could calmly respond. I hear your feelings. My decision is still no. Feeling guilty is normal, but giving into that feeling, that's how manipulation works. Keep your focus on your boundary and your energy, not on proving yourself. Mistake 5 is thinking that if you call it out, it will fix it. Many people think calling out the manipulation solves it. Most of the time, it doesn't. Manipulators may deny it, turn it around, or try to gaslight you. You'll find yourself debating instead of protecting your peace. I was seeing someone who kept making me feel obligated. And when I finally called him out, conversation turned defensive so fast. What actually works is calmly repeating your boundary. Be short, be firm, no drama. I've explained my decision and that's final. As simple as that. That's literally all it takes. It's about reclaiming control over your response, not trying to fix the other person. If you ever freeze in these situations and just don't know what to say, my freeze response recovery kit is packed with scripts. It has ready-to-use phrases for dozens of situations, and it's packed with different options for each situation so that you can find a phrase that naturally fits your way of speaking. And if you find yourself replaying interactions for hours, it also has tips inside to calm your body, settle your thoughts, and rebuild your confidence. So you can handle these interactions calmly and confidently without carrying the stress around with you all day. And if you feel called to get these, the links are in the description. Here's a little mindset shift that also helps. Manipulation does not work because you're weak. It works because you're human. You care, you want to be fair, and you want to handle things maturely. So instead of blaming yourself, please notice the patterns. Check your energy and practice your responses. Even tiny changes in how you respond can completely shift the dynamic. And one more thing, the more examples you notice in your daily life, the easier it becomes to respond in these situations without overthinking. You start seeing the triggers, the tactics, and the spaces where you have the power to say, this doesn't control me. If this resonated with you, comment below. Let me know which misunderstanding hit home for you the most. Subscribe for weekly strategies and insights on spotting manipulation and responding differently. Don't forget the links to both my emotional reset guide, it's free, it's linked in the description, as well as my freeze response recovery kit packed with scripts. They're both in the description so you can start practicing today and feel confident in these situations immediately. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.